Welcome to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. In each episode, we're going to bring you insightful interviews and discussions with top restoration industry leaders. We're also going to delve into their business, the strategies that made them successful, and most importantly, the valuable lessons they've learned along the way. I'm your host, Clinton James. I'm also the Chief Marketing Officer at Water Restoration Marketing. We're a digital marketing agency dedicated to helping restoration companies nationwide secure more high-value water jobs. Now, this show, it aims to provide you with the knowledge and tools you need to excel in the restoration industry. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So welcome everybody to another episode of the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. I am your host, Clinton James. I'm also the Chief Marketing Officer at Water Restoration Marketing. Today we're talking technology. We talk a lot of things in restoration, but I'm a technology guy, so I'm really excited to have today's guest on. Today's guest is Holly Baldwin. Now, Holly is the Senior Customer Success Manager over at DocuSketch. Holly, did I get that right?
You got it perfect.
Awesome. So Holly, before we talk tech, I want to give the audience some background on you. If they're not familiar with you, if they haven't seen any of the things in the content that you have out there right now, tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do for DocuSketch right now.
Yeah. So like you said, my name is Holly Baldwin. I'm the Senior Customer Success Manager, which is just a very fancy title for like a national account manager. Pretty specific to one account, but still kind of in the midst of all the other accounts. So at DocuSketch, I do all things DocuSketch. I talk about sales and marketing, estimating, sketching, scoping, tours, 3D use, the perks of technology, anything technology related in restoration. I'm your gal.
I like it. Now, before we go down the tech rabbit hole, let's talk about how you actually got into the restoration business and how that opportunity is probably the reason that you handle that one big account over at DocuSketch there. So give the audience a little background on Holly and how she ended up working in the restoration industry.
Yeah, it's actually a really crazy, silly story. And I was in my early 20s, so that's going to age me. But I had just finished a little, not a degree. What was it? It was like a certificate for medical billing and coding. And I hated it. I hated what I was doing. I realized really quickly, I thought about going to be a nurse and I was like, yeah, I can't do blood. So I guess this isn't for me. So I'm glad I didn't go through the nursing portion of that. But I was like, yeah, this just isn't it. And one of my cousins, who shall remain nameless, she was working at this company, and I was like, hey, you really like it there. What do you think they have any job openings or anything? And she's like, yeah, there's this admin job. And I was like, okay, I have a lot of administrative experience. I can, all this stuff. Again, early 20s. So I'm just like, yeah, I can totally do this. So I went and interviewed and somehow, some way got the job. Still to this day, I'm mind blown that they even hired me. But started off as an administrative assistant in commercial large loss at Servpro corporate, and then ended up moving into a sales role, and then ended up moving into operations. And that's kind of how I got into it. It was definitely not what I went to school for at all, but I did get my bachelor's degree while I was at Servpro working in business. So just, not because I wanted to run a business, but just because I needed to understand obviously what franchises are doing. So that kind of helped me to get a little bit more knowledge under my belt. And then the opportunity at DocuSketch opened, and honestly, it was the perfect, really just a stepping stone into a different direction, but still working with all the same accounts. So could not ask for it to have went any better. But yeah, everyone else's restoration story, it's you don't, it's not something you go to school for. It's just one of those things that kind of falls in your lap and it works out.
It definitely is not, but it's a great industry to be in, and it gives an opportunity to meet and work with really great blue collar entrepreneurs, whether they own their own restoration business or they've jumped into the franchise model, like Servpro, for example. And for our audience, I know a lot of you guys, whether you're a franchisee or you own your own independent restoration company, you've got your opinions about Servpro, but we got to be honest with ourselves. They're doing something right? They are one of the few restoration companies that has a true brand out there that is recognized nationally there. So, you learned a lot wearing a lot of different hats over at Servpro, right? Starting as an administrative assistant, then transitioning into a kind of a sales representative role, and then obviously over into operations. What are the biggest lessons that you took from each one of those roles, working, being new to the restoration space?
Yeah, just stay flexible. Stay consistently changing, like ever evolving. Like don't ever just get stuck in one frame of mind. Like to continue to just be like, okay, you know what? This is going to be different today and it might be different 6 months from now. Like that is something that I learned there, but man, has it helped me in this role, especially because obviously we're a tech company. So anybody that's worked for software, things are ever changing. So just like stay flexible. Just like it's gonna work itself out. Everything always does. So that's it. That's the main thing I learned.
Owning a business in the digital marketing space, I have definitely learned I've got to be flexible, right? I've got to stay on top of the most cutting edge technology, right? And when it comes to cutting edge technology, DocuSketch is a perfect example of that. So when I originally got into the restoration space, and I think DocuSketch, I simply think of documentation, right? Sketching, the estimation process there. For someone who's never used DocuSketch before, can you kind of just really quickly give them an explanation of DocuSketch in simple terms?
Yeah, DocuSketch, super simple, like 5-minute elevator pitch that I have to give my friends all the time because they're like, what do you do? DocuSketch is 360 technology. So what we do is we take a 360 photo of a home or a business that's had a loss. What we do is we provide the sketch after that if you order the sketch, which is going to provide the windows, doors, and cabinet measurements. So that way that you have that in order to write your estimate, or we can write your estimate for you. That's what we do. We help restoration companies to honestly excel in how quickly they're getting their claims turned around and how quickly their cycle times are, things like that, for specifically for restoration. That's the quickest spiel I can give you.
I would guess that there are a lot of folks in the restoration industry that have the same perception of DocuSketch that I do. Is it's simply a documentation tool, right? Why do you feel that that's misleading and it kind of sells documentation or DocuSketch and your platform a little short?
Oh man, that is the most accurate thing because it really does, and that's what people see it as. So they see it as just a production tool, right? Like they just see it as we're going in, we're taking the pictures. Now we're not having to take the pictures on our iPads or our iPhones, and we're using this camera. The misconception is that that's really where it started, right? Like that's kind of how it started. And then we evolve into when XTR came on the scene, which is the estimating company now known as DocuSketch Estimating, which is what Nelson formerly owned. So there's all these different things that have been added into DocuSketch over the years. So people still are thinking about DocuSketch from year 1 or year 2, where it's just mostly like that was like our advertisement it was like, hey, get in your jobs faster, get in and out faster, like go and scan, quicker. And that way you can reduce your cycle times. That's kind of where people are stuck at, is that it's just a production tool. They haven't really opened their minds to see, wow, this is really kind of a one-stop shop. And that's really what we're trying to kind of create an adoption in the restoration world now for DocuSketch.
In one of the webinars I heard you do with, I believe it was a pretty successful business development rep, he talked about DocuSketch as being one of the highest ROI tools in the restoration community. Well, why do you, and you agreed with that, well, why do you feel that way? Because you've sat in the sales representative seat at a very successful restoration company.
Yeah, so why do I think and I 100% agree with him through and through, right? And there's so many different ways I can answer it. I'm trying to figure out how I want to answer it that really cultivates like the full answer, or the proper answer. The reason that I think that it's the best ROI, that I think that it makes the most sense, is because it is the most valuable tool that you're going to pay the least amount for, right? So you can go in and you can have this DocuSketch tool for X amount of cost, right? Very, very low startup costs, very, very low monthly subscriptions, things like that. You're going into a hotel chain, you're going into an apartment complex, and you're saying, hey, I'm going to, get this pre-loss scan for you. And then that gets you 20 hotel chains later on down the road. For the ROI, the cost is so minute for DocuSketch, it's a no-brainer.
Now, when you worked at Servpro, were you a business development rep? Were you going out there trying to cultivate the sales relationship with the property managers, or what did your role look like as a sales rep?
So I was a sales rep for the document drying chamber. So there was a document drying chamber that existed at Servpro. Again, this is many, many years ago, but what I did was I basically just facilitated getting trucks out to franchises to pick up their documents to be brought back to our facility. So that way that we could sublimate their documents and get them back to the best condition that we could. That's what I was selling and delivering.
Okay.
I go market and present that to Servpro franchises.
Okay, so more contents related.
Yes, very content. Very, very content.
So I think you would agree with this. I think one of the most challenging roles in a successful restoration company is that business development rep, right? Their job is to go out into their community or go out in their service area and create relationships so that when these property owners have some kind of loss, whether it's water or fire or anything, that relationship leads that property owner to reach out to that restoration company. And a lot of them, you're going in and you're selling something that's a service for something that hasn't happened yet at that business, right? So you guys have utilized the DocuSketch technology as a way for you to have something tangible that you can present to that property owner that will hopefully accelerate that relationship, right? So let's talk about this no cost pre-loss scan strategy. Okay. Walk me through it as if I'm a business development rep for a successful restoration company here in Northern California.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. So basically, like as if I'm telling you how I would do this, how I would present this to somebody, I would go into, an apartment looking for the director of the facilities, right? And say, hey, I would love if you have 15 minutes. Also, a key thing, know who you're looking for, right? Like know the person, know their name. Even if you don't know their schedule, obviously, know who you're looking for. Hey, if I could just take 15 minutes of your time, I'm going to show you our technology. I'm going to show you why you should use us. I'm going to call it Baldwin Restoration, right? I'm going to tell you why you should use Baldwin Restoration. This is why you should use us. We have this technology. It's called DocuSketch. I'm going to actually do a couple scans of your building. I'm going to do, your breaker room, any areas where you might have like an emergency shutoff valve, maybe your 3 primary rooms of like your apartments and different things, whatever you want me to do, right? I'm going to go in and do a no-cost DocuSketch for you. Have it in your mind of what you're going to do, the rooms that you want, primarily the emergency shutoff room, because not everybody knows where the emergency shutoff places are, right? Like, especially in the event of there being a loss. So have that and say, I'm going to go in and I'm going to come in and do this. It's going to take me 20 minutes. I'll be in and out of your hair. Just give me this, and then I'm going to give you my card. And then that way, whenever you do have a loss, you can reach out to me directly. You don't have to go through a call center. You don't have to be standing in 3 feet of water and not know who you're going to reach out to. You're going to call me, and I'm going to get a team deployed out to you. How does that sound? Then you give them the link to the tour that you just did of their building. You just did all these different rooms. You're going to give them a link afterward. You're going to send them an email and say, hey, thank you so much for your time today. I just wanted to provide that link to you so that you could have that. You could check it out. Let me know what you think. If you need anything at all, please reach out to me. If one day you maybe want to go over your insurance coverages, if anything like that ever comes up, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to meet up with you. Now you've opened the door for that communication, right? And then maybe when you're in the area again, you drop by, you visit, you say hi, hello, you ask them how their golf game was, like figure out who they are, like start building that relationship. But it just opens the door because 1, it's no cost. 2, it's fast. You're getting in and out. You're not asking them for anything. You're not charging them anything because again, it's something that hasn't happened yet. We're just trying to be best prepared for if it ever does.
I love that. Are there specific types of properties that that the folks that are using this in this way are having more success getting their foot in the door? Is it like multi-family units? Is it assisted living communities? What do you think are some of the easiest businesses to utilize this technology to get your foot in the door?
Yeah, commercial, pretty much anything multi-residential. But commercial is a big push. Hotel chains, because think about it, heads and beds, like that's all that they care about is to make sure that people are because obviously if they're not there, then they're not making money, right? Hilton wants everybody to be inside of each room. So if there's one loss in one room because of somebody decided to hang their dance competition, outfits on the sprinkler heads, that happens all the time. Okay. Like there are signs for a reason not to hang your stuff up there, but so of course, that's what it's all about. So for commercial, it's just in my opinion, commercial and also restaurants. People don't do restaurants enough. Think about like downtown restaurants. Whenever this just happened recently, somebody ran into a restaurant like with their car. I don't know the whole details. I think it was like an accident, like some sort of accident, but like their restaurant got ran into by a car. Do you think they were prepared for that? No, not in any capacity. They didn't have a pre-law scan. They had nothing. Like they're just starting from the ground up. But it's like, if you're prepared, an emergency, like preparedness plan, essentially, it's the same thing as people do like in hurricane areas. Why are people not doing it for their businesses? It's logical, but also again, commercial, like insurance coverages, things like that. So it's like those types of things that are conversations people might not have ever had as a, building director or whatever. They might just be like, yeah, like someone higher up is going to figure it out. And it's like, well, what if it's you? Like, great question.
Yeah. That emergency response plan seems to be something that a lot of business development reps are going to. But let's be honest, like people are impressed by cool technology, right? So how do you feel like, from your perspective, how does using that kind of 3D tour technology kind of distance a restoration company from somebody that's going out there and, heaven forbid, like doing hand sketches?
The distance is very tangible whenever you walk in with a DocuSketch camera, in my opinion, because you're walking in, because again, I don't care who you are. If I walk in with, I don't have my camera somewhere. It went on a trip with me, so I think it's in my overnight bag. But if I walk in with this camera, like, first of all, it looks cool. But second of all, I have a tripod and they're like, what are you doing? What's happening right now? Like, this is because they draw some interest, right? Especially if they're like a little bit like tech geek, or they might like the camera just in general. Like I'm for sure like a tech nerd. Like I like to especially with cameras, like phones I don't really care about, but cameras I'm like, yeah, love that kind of stuff. So you're pulling in again, you're moving forward. Say again, I just had a call about this morning. You're moving forward in technology, right? So you're showing them what you're doing because you are at a future state of restoration, right? Because there's a lot of restoration companies that are not utilizing technology. They're not even thinking about technology. They're hand sketching everything, and they're taking all this time. So it's like, hey, we actually have technology, which means I can get all of your claims processed faster. I can make sure that you're taken care of. So if you're talking to a Hilton, I can make sure you have more heads in beds quickly, right? Like you're having that conversation to show that technology is not just technology because it looks cool. It's technology and it's speed, and it equals accuracy. Like all the different things that kind of like bring 360 all together is technology, accuracy, and speed. And I'm not going to take 3 days to process your claim. When I leave here, I'm going to send this in to get a sketch. I'll have your sketch back tomorrow, and then I'll have your estimate by Friday.
That's super important when you're dealing commercial properties, right? Whether it is a hotel, whether it's a restaurant that needs to get, patrons back in the seats there. How are, not just from a sales standpoint, but from an efficiency standpoint for a restoration company, is DocuSketch users using that to build like quick before and after portfolios, right? How's that speeding up the process there?
So the process of claims, sorry, just to clarify.
Yes, claims.
Yeah. So for claims, it's amazing because they can actually go out and they go on day one, right? So say that they didn't do a pre-loss, say that it's just the loss that happened, one of those things. And they go in, they're day one, water's on the ground, they're placing equipment, all these things. So now we have day one date time stamped, right? Now I can send this to the adjuster and say, hey, I just want to let you know, we've already been here. Here's a tour so you can actually see what we've had done today. Have a great night. Tomorrow, we go back out. We start to do demo. I'm going to send you another tour of what we did today and what we completed and where the equipment has been moved. If we've removed any equipment, I'm going to show you pictures of the moisture meter on the wall so you can see that is in fact still wet. Have a great night. The next day, like every single time that you go to that job, it's going to provide another date and time stamp every single time you're there and you do it. Also, it doesn't cost anything. Timeline tours cost $0.00. So all you're doing is adding photo documentation to that job. It's a diary, basically a job diary, so that way that they can see what's happening before to end. But also, it's going to make them write your check faster because your claim's going to get processed faster because they can see everything. There's not a question of why did you use 3 dehues in that one tiny little closet, or why did you use 15 air movers? Well, I can see why you used it, number one, but also we've got justified square footage. We have everything. We have full photo documentation. The camera cannot lie. Everything that you need to know is in the pictures. So it's like if they have a question, question, they can see it. It's like, it's just a no-brainer. So now they're going to process that claim faster. They're going to pay you quicker, which is going to get the homeowner, if it's a home, back in their home, or a business back in their business quicker. Everything moves quicker because you're getting paid faster, right? So that's the end of the goal, is that your cycle times are up. So that way you're getting paid, and then you can go to another job. You're getting paid and you can go to another job, but you're also taking care of the client that you've hopefully built that relationship with.
We've talked a little bit about DocuSketch and its platform as really a sales tool, right, to get into commercial spaces. We've talked a little bit about how you guys are utilizing the technology to document and really speed up the claims process to make sure that restoration companies are not only paid quickly, but also paid accurately, right? There's no back and forth, less back and forth with the insurance adjusters on these claims. But not every restoration company out there is using DocuSketch, right? What do you think is the pushback from these owners that just want to stay old school and they don't want to take advantage of these technologies? What do you hear the most in terms of pushback?
So I'm going to give you a really country slang term for it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, it's, it's just, I mean, that's it. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's how we've always been doing it. It's the way that we've always been doing it. And I'm going to coin something that Rob Harrell said on a video a while back. And he was like, yeah, we used to smoke on planes. And then like, we realized that wasn't safe. So we stopped doing it. Like, it's that concept of like, yeah, like, even though it's always been done this way, that doesn't mean that is in fact how it should always be going forward. Right. So it's looking at it from a different perspective and saying, okay, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what if we could do it better? What if we could do it faster? What if it could save us money? What if it could help my PM be home with his family more? Like, things like that, to kind of open your brain to say, there's different possibilities here. And if we let technology do a little bit of this hard work for us, we might actually be able to get more jobs as well. Like, thinking about it from that perspective of revenue is, I'm like, it's a no-brainer obviously for us. Like, we're on a different side of the seat, but I've watched so many different companies come in and say, no, we don't want it. We're good. And then they try it and they're like, this has changed our whole, like, everything that we do, our workflow. Like, DocuSketch is required on everything, like 360 is the way of the future. So those who are like so resistant, it's like, eventually, I believe most insurance companies are going to require 360 at some capacity. I don't care who it is. Like, it may be us, it may be a competitor, it may be somebody, like, it doesn't matter. It's going to be required. And your phone pictures are not going to cut it. Like, they want 360 photo documentation. I believe that that's the direction insurance is going, just based off of what we've kind of seen change in the last few years. But again, it creates less back and forth for the adjuster. The adjuster doesn't have to drive anywhere. They don't have to go anywhere. You're providing them with a 360 documentation they can review at their desk. Why would they want anything else? So it really is there is still a lot of pushback, but again, those are the people that are like, well, we're afraid it's not going to work, or I'm like, just let me train you. Let me show you how to do it. It's so easy. I can do it. Like, it's, but people are just resistant to change. I think that's natural.
Well, let's talk about two parts of that, right? So first, you talked about your personal experience working with restoration companies that at some point pushed back on the technology, that decided, based on your conversations with them, to implement the technologies, and they've shared with you, right, how it's really transformed their business. Can you think of one specific example of a restoration company here in the U.S. that you had that hesitation, had that resistance, and talk about a little bit about what they've shared with you? Has it improved their or actually cut down their processing time on claims, right? Has it allowed their project managers to spend less time doing on-site documentation and more time, whether it's working with the next client or at home with their families? Give us a real-world scenario.
Yeah, so we have people all the time. They come up to us at when they come to us at trade show. We were just at a big trade show event, and they come up and they're like, "This is like, it's changed everything that we do. Like, I'm not having to sit at my computer all night long working on an estimate. I'm not having to sit at my computer working on a sketch." Or they realize that there's people in their organization that are not part of the growth, right? Like, they're not interested. They don't want to be part of it. I will never, ever, ever forget a call. This is real world. I had a call one time about them using DocuSketch, and there was somebody on this call, and she was very upset toward me personally because I work for DocuSketch. And she was like, "I'm a great sketcher. We do not need your services." And she wasn't an owner. She just worked there. And the owner was in the room, and I called her afterward, and I was like, "I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know, like, there's some misunderstanding. And she said, no, she is very afraid that her job is going to be taken. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, like we're just trying to help, like there's like this misunderstanding there, which we can dive into that more if you want to later. But there's just like this misconception. But to have people to walk up and say, you know what, we were super hesitant, we were super resistant to try this, and now like I'm not having to sit at my computer for hours on end and sketch out something, and you guys give it to us. Like I'm basically driving home and I click generate sketch, and by the time I get back to the office and I'm working on something else at 5 o'clock, the sketch is coming back to me, and then I'm working on the estimate, and it's like it's changed everything.
You've opened that can of worms, and let's be honest with our audience, right? So a lot of our audience are restoration company owners, but I'm sure we have people that their role in a restoration company is sketching and estimating, and they see technology like DocuSketch as their AI, right? They're coming for my job, right? Talk a little bit about how you guys and the technology really works hand in hand with the in-house team to just make things more efficient, make their job easier.
I love to talk about this. I'm glad we have opened this can of worms, because this is something like I'm very passionate about this. So if anything, estimators are more important right now than they've ever been with technology, because technology can only do so much. We can only see so much, right? Like we're not the boots on the ground. We're not the ones who are familiar with the job. Most of the time that's your PMs or some companies it's estimators, some companies it's owners. They're going out and doing this stuff. It just kind of depends on what your workflow is. But we need you, because you're the one who knows the most about the job, to review this estimate. We need you to review it and make sure that it's right before it goes out to anybody. So from a sketch perspective, we're just helping you speed up so that way you're not having to deal with it, right? Like if it's a one-room loss, yeah, you should probably just sketch that, right? Like that, I understand doing a one-room loss, but like if it's like a 5,000 square foot house and it's going to take you 3 hours or 4 hours of your day, what else can you be selling? What else can you be doing that make you enjoy a little bit more than sketching? And you're like, okay, I'm going to let DocuSketch do that. And I'm going to go out and sell this job, or I'm going to go out and, like whatever that looks like, maybe it gives you more time to do things in your organization that you enjoy doing, right? So it's not just about like it's such a misconception of people being like, oh, you're taking our job. I'm like, no, we need you. We need you to review the estimate. We need you there, because also, again, we can only do so much, right? Like we can obviously rip out a great sketch based off of whose measurements, not ours. We don't go out there with a camera and an invisible person. Like you are the person out there that's making sure you're getting both sides of the island. You're the one who is making sure that the sketch is going to be able to be drawn correctly, because you have to be the boots on the ground to get the pictures. So for anyone listening who's like, oh my gosh, it's DocuSketch is going to take our job, our intention is that we are just helping you, and we are partnering with you to help you be faster, to help you be more accurate, and to give you more time to do things that you might enjoy. And also like keep you off the road. That way you're not having to go back to Miss Smith's house and rescan something because it was continuous flooring and you forgot to do that one bedroom every time.
Windshield time is the biggest overhead cost almost in the restoration industry, right? So I look at DocuSketch like any other technology. It's not to take other people's jobs. It's to make those jobs more efficient. And for me as a business owner, it allows me to scale without and have that one person be able to do 2 or 3 claims at a time instead of just focusing for hours and hours doing a single sketch. All right. So let's talk about the other thing in technology, because you guys are out at the trade shows and you see all these restoration guys. They're walking by. They own the business. They see these beautiful booths that you guys put up. They see the, the DS1 camera being displayed there front and center. And they immediately think, ooh, fancy technology, that's too expensive for me and my business. I don't know that we're doing $1 million, $2 million in revenue. I don't know that we can make that kind of financial commitment. Do you think that's accurate, or do you think they have a bad perception of what it actually costs to utilize DocuSketch and its platform?
100% is accurate, right? They walk up and they're like, oh man, like you said, people that are doing like $1 million, $2 million, or even less, like they're coming up and they're saying, like we just don't have a busy area. Like we're in a rural area. We don't get that much business. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for us to have DocuSketch. So then we kind of break down the cost. I'm like, okay, so the camera kit itself is $795, right? Like for us, that's what it costs. There's other companies out there, other cameras. But and then we talk about our subscription fees, and I'm like, so in a month, and this genuinely is how I will start this conversation. If they say, well, don't know if we can afford this. I'm like, in a month, how many times do you get a claim where somebody says that you have scratched their refrigerator, or you've scratched their floor, or you've scratched something and you don't have photo documentation of it? Well, it's happened. I'm like, okay, so we will pay that will pay for the subscription.
100%.
like more than
One incident will pay for that.
yeah. One refrigerator, So that's a starting place. Like that is the starting ground. That is like the soil, right? Of saying like, this is where it starts. And then everything else starts to grow from there. So it's like, think about it from a liability standpoint. Just think about it there. That's the minimum. And then now we start working into how long is it taking that person to actually sketch that? How much do you pay them hourly? Okay. Now we're covering that cost. Now we're going into, okay, what could that person be doing instead of sketching? Are they going to go out and sell another job? Are they going to be able to see that there's another loss somewhere down the street? And now they can go do that. They can go take care of that instead of sketching. Got it. How much are you paying your estimator? Oh, and it's commission. Okay, got it. So what happens when you guys get inundated with work and you have way too many estimates and you have one person? What happens when that person goes on paternity leave? Like things like that you just do not think about until it's like happening. Cause people call me all the time and they're like, hey, our estimator or hey, our primary sketch person. And then now they need DocuSketch, but they need it so fast. And it's like, yeah, like, the cameras don't arrive in one day, it's one of those things, but to talk them through that and say, this is the true cost. You're not going to be losing any money on the front end. Yeah. You pay for the equipment and you pay for a month's subscription, but I guarantee you whenever you're not paying for a $2,000 refrigerator, you're going to be like, well, paid for itself, like that's the minimum. That's like kind of the starting place of where I look at it from. And if that's all you have it for to cover yourself from liabilities, then heck yeah, like that's awesome.
And that's not even getting into what we started the conversation, right? Is utilizing this as a sales tool to go out and create those relationships with those property owners there. So, beyond the initial like sales meeting for a business development rep, how else are your clients using those DocuSketch tours and clips as like a marketing tool, right? Are they doing anything cool with that stuff on maybe social media or anything like that?
Yeah. So on social media, I see timeline tours all the time, right? Befores and afters. Like people will post that and they'll be like, here's, like whether they shout us out or not, like I know what our platform looks like. So, like, and sometimes they do. They're like, thank you, DocuSketch. And, we love that. But they do befores and afters to show like it is a brag book. It's showing what they did on this recon job. Like it looked like this before and now it is amazing after. Like, or it's just super, it's cleaned up and it's ready for the person that's going to come in and put the drywall and the floors and all that stuff if they don't finish it out. For like marketing material though, there's a franchise. Her name is Jess. I'll tell you, her name is Jessie. She's fabulous. But she showed me that they actually have a brochure, and their brochure showcases what they use for DocuSketch befores and afters. So it shows on the side, and it actually, again, it's a brag book for her to be able to show that to a potential client and say, hey, we had this technology, but also we have this as a brag book to show you what we've done before. Like, this is why you want to do work with us. So really cool stuff like coming out like that has been, again, people are telling me about it that they're doing, and I'm like, this is amazing. They're presenting it at Chamber of Commerce meetings, any types of places where they're like, you're going to get a 10 minutes to speak on something about your company. Talk about technology. Talk about talk about what you do that is different. Make them want to make you their first phone call, right? Like, how do you do that? Set yourself apart. How can you do that with technology? It's really, but yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that people have been telling me about that they're doing. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is great.
So our digital marketing agency that actually services restoration companies, we love to feature projects that those restoration companies have done on their website, on their social media. It really builds engagement, and it's really social proof for that next relationship that you're trying to establish with a property owner. And I think using things like those DocuSketch tours are really great ways to show that, not only can we service clients of your size, and we have done it in the past successfully, but also we're staying on top of it and using the latest technology, right? That's going to speed up the entire restoration process for the property owner and for the restoration company through the claim process there.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm sure they swear you to secrecy, but can you give our audience a little insight as what's coming down the pipeline next for DocuSketch?
Oh, well, I can't tell you everything, but
give us some breadcrumbs here.
What I can tell you is to be on the lookout for other sketching opportunities other than interior, and that's just how I'll word it.
Okay, I like that. All right. Audience, thank you for sticking around. Holly, it was really a pleasure to have you on here. I love talking technology, and we're in the restoration space, and I don't feel like enough restoration companies are utilizing the best technology to make their job easier, make more money, be more profitable, and get their foot in the door with that next commercial opportunity. If anybody in the audience is interested in finding out a little bit more about the technology, the platform, and potentially using it in their restoration company, where should they go?
They can go to DocuSketch.com. That's the easiest place. And honestly, we have like great little tabs across the top that will, walk you through basically the system, what the products, like what the product looks like, befores and afters, everything that you want to see. They can just go to DocuSketch.com.
I love it. We'll make sure that we drop that in the description and the show notes. Guys, I'm a fan of the DocuSketch technology. I had a chance at the RIA event earlier this year to see the DS1 camera in action. Super impressive. I love stuff like that. I'm the guy that buys the latest iPhone, even though I don't need it, right? So that's the kind of technology that gets me excited. Again, we've had Holly Baldwin on today. Holly, it was absolute pleasure to interview you today. Audience, I hope you guys got some great value out of the conversation. And if you're not currently using DocuSketch, guys, it doesn't hurt you to take a look at it. Go visit DocuSketch.com, find out a little bit more about the technology, the platform itself, the equipment, what that investment looks like, and ultimately what it's going to mean for you guys in terms of return on investment. Not just covering yourself, right, in terms of accidents that might happen on a job site, but speeding up the claim process, speeding up the restoration process, and using it to get your foot in the door on that next commercial relationship that you're looking to establish there. So if you like what you heard today, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on social, and if you're so inclined because of the great interview we had with Holly today, make sure you leave a 5-star review. Again, Holly Baldwin with DocuSketch. Thanks for being on the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. If you like what you heard today, be sure to subscribe, share, and also leave us a 5-star review. We'll be back with more interviews and discussions with restoration industry leaders really soon. In the meantime, if you're a restoration company looking to add more high-value water jobs, you can reach me and my team at waterrestorationmarketing.net. Again, that's waterrestorationmarketing.net. I look forward to hearing from you soon.